Hi friends, I hope all is well. Miss all of you so much as we are in our quarantine time. Just want to share with you guys another thought and a little bit of a devotion. Looks like I'll be kind of doing this weekly, so kind of excited about that. Today, I want to kind of talk about a little bit about where we are in all of this. We've been all in quarantine for about a month. And I think we're getting a little anxious. We're getting a little bit worried, and some people are getting frustrated. Some people are following the rules, and we're kind of all over the place right now. We're still in a place where there are so many that are still trying to find somebody to blame or somebody to point the finger at or try to control this in one way or another. I think it's interesting too, we're also at a point in time where there is this very large spectrum right now with a large chasm in between. You have people on one side that have loved ones in the ER right now. You have people who are mourning their fathers and their brothers and their children. We have people who are scared because they don't know whether or not they're going to see tomorrow as they are attached to this respirator. Then we have people on the other side who feel incredibly inconvenienced in this time. They want to just go back to work. They want to go back to how things were. They're healthy. They don't feel they are in the dangerous categories of dying from this. And they just want to go back to life how it was. And those are two very large, drastic differences. And as we are in this time of trying to understand why we are in this, and is it like this thing that could severely threaten the rest of our futures and our loved ones, or is it just a conspiracy and we are just over making something much bigger than it really is? I don't have the answer for why this is happening. And I'm not really interested in that, because I'm more interested in the question of what is happening. What is happening currently is something that has been part of the human experience for a very, very long time. Thousands and thousands of years of human history has been wrought with pandemics and viruses, diseases that have wiped out thousands of people. And it's only because now, with vaccines and science and the modern understanding of these diseases, have we forgotten about them. We've just simply forgotten. We've gotten comfortable that this is how reality is, and so now we just forgot. And maybe this is something we need. I'm not sure. But I want to invite you guys into something, kind of go back with me a little ways. We find in human history, thousands of years ago, somewhere along the lines, people figured it out. People started to notice that that individual got sick. And the people in his household, they got sick. And the people over there in that household, they didn't get sick, and they didn't interact with those people. Or maybe the people in that house, they all got sick, and then they went and visited those people 2 weeks ago, and then they got sick. But again, these people over here never met them. They did. Somewhere along the lines, we figured it out. And so what we start to find is in early humanity in our little villages and towns of the past was when somebody got sick, they started taking the person that was sick and quarantining them outside of the village, outside of the camp. And they weren't allowed to interact with other people during that time. And sometimes they died, and sometimes they didn't. This idea goes way back, and it is also biblical. In the Bible, in the books of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, our favorite two, discuss this idea of quarantining, and it is serious. It says if somebody who is sick touches something or interacts with an object, you're not supposed to touch that object. Quarantining is biblical. But I want to invite you to something that I like. Something in this time that I want to challenge you with. Because I think this time is an opportunity for us. I want to invite you to the book of Leviticus. In chapter 14, there's something very, very interesting. In this book, it discusses what to do with the people who are outside of the village, outside of the camp, who are sick and who are quarantined, and they get better. Imagine being one of those people. Imagine you come across this illness, you don't know why you got it, you don't know how you got it, and you have to leave your kids, your family, your friends, your loved ones, and you don't get to see them, and you don't know how long. And you don't know whether you are going to live or die. This reminds me of all the stories I've heard of individuals who are right now, hooked to respirators, if they're lucky to get one, in ERs all across the world, and they're not allowed to interact with their loved ones. I've heard stories of people passing away alone because they're quarantined. Imagine being one of those people. It's heartbreaking. Imagine for those in that place, not knowing whether they're going home or not. Even now, with all the technology and the things that we have, back then it was no different. And for those who got well, Leviticus 14 has something to say. So just imagine you're one of those people, you don't know whether you're going to make it or not, and you do. You're better. So what it says is back then, they didn't really have doctors and those kinds of things, but a priest would come and examine you. They would check your skin, they would check for the symptoms and see if you got better. Now, the thought is, okay, you're better, you get to go home. Things are never that easy. In Leviticus 14, it says, after the priest checks you out, so here you are, you're getting all checked out, everything's good, priest says, you're better. And you're like, all right, so I get to go see my loved ones. Wait. Go catch 2 birds for me. Scripture says, go catch 2 birds. Now, right away, have you ever tried to catch a bird? Like, catch a bird. And not only that, not only are you trying to catch a bird, you gotta check them out and make sure that they're clean. So no dirty birds, right? You have to go catch 2 birds. So imagine being the person, you go catch your 2 birds, okay? All right, I've caught my 2 birds. And then it says, then go get a stick made of cedar, go get some red yarn, and some hyssop plant. So now you're making a grocery list and you're like, okay, a stick and some red yarn and a plant, okay, anything else? Oh yeah, and then get a clay pot and fill it with river water. Not like that dirty, like well water, but like fresh river water. Okay? And then scripture says, like, okay, you gather all the things with the priest and you're like, okay, can I just go home? No, wait. Go ahead, you know the 2 birds you just caught? Kill one. Kill it. Now that's shocking to us in our modern age, but again, this is thousands of years ago. Very tribal living, animal sacrifice is just a common occurrence back then. And you're told to kill this bird. And not just kill it, but drain its blood into that pot of river water. Okay, done. Killed the bird. Okay, now what? Then take the other living bird, poor thing, and dip it into the blood. Okay? And then the stick and the yarn and the plant, dip that in the blood. And you're like, okay, now what? Then take the living bird that's covered in blood and go find a field, not a forest, right? Not a wasteland. Go find an open field and set it free. And then take the stick with the yarn and the hyssop and be sprinkled on. Have the priest sprinkle the blood on you 7 times. Awesome. Right? So now you got like this blood on you, you're like, I think I'm gonna get sick again, right? And then you're like, okay, I did the weird thing, now I can go home. Nope. Now, go sit outside of your tent, the one that you've been at, away from everybody else, for 7 days. Okay, 7 days out in the cold. Okay, so you go to your tent, 7 days, you get up, you go find the priest. Okay, can I go home? No. You need to shave your hair, your beard, and your eyebrows. From head to toe, you need to shave. Oh, and then go get a young lamb. Go get some very expensive, finely ground flour, and then some oil. And then if you're poor, we have a plan B. And go take some of the blood from the lamb, put it on your right ear, on your right thumb, and your right toe, and some of the oil, and put it on your right ear, your right thumb, and your right toe. And then you can go home. What a weird thing. There are some things in the Bible that we read and we go, all right, next chapter, right? I encourage you that there is some good stuff here. Just stay with me for a moment. For those who are surviving, there's a cost. There's an excitement when you're really sick and you make it. But it comes with a shadow of those who don't. I've heard lots of stories of soldiers who come home and they're celebrated as heroes. And when they're confronted and they're asked about their heroic acts, they say, the real heroes are the guys who didn't come home. There's this shadow. There's the excitement that I got to come home and see my family and my kids again, but there were those who didn't. There's those who died and there are those who lived. I've even heard stories of soldiers who come home and they say, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna live for my brother who didn't make it. I'm gonna have a family, I'm gonna raise kids, and I'm gonna love them because they can't. It's kind of like one bird dies and one bird is set free in an open field. It's like there are these deep emotional and psychological things that are going on inside of us, and sometimes we need something physical in the real world to help us manifest all of these crazy feelings we have. Like sometimes when you're scared you're gonna die and you make it, you need to be reminded that some don't. We literally say things like, you were one of the lucky ones. When this is over, there's gonna be those who survived, and there's gonna be those who die. Every day we see the numbers. I believe we just hit 40,000 people dead. We can't forget that. We can't forget the cost. And then we hear about all of those who are making it as well. We need both numbers. We need to remember those who die and then those of us who are set free. And when you're set free, something changes. The belief is that this stick would take hyssop. Hyssop was believed to be something used in bathing, like a plant that was used as like a detergent. And the red yarn would tie this to a stick as sort of like a makeshift washing brush, a symbolism of being clean. And they would take this blood and splash this on you. I think for many people, when they make it through a difficult time, they come back set free from the dirty, wasteful things we do with our lives. There's so many things we look back on and we just don't want to have anything to do with it anymore. And the 7 times spoke to the original readers of these scriptures thousands of years ago who knew a poem very well about the world being created in 7 days. For them, 7 times is screaming this idea of a new creation. Sometimes in your life is on the line and you don't know whether you're going to make it or not. You don't know whether tomorrow will be there. Sometimes you're something new at the end. So they go home to their tent and they don't get to sleep in it. They're leaving behind that anxiety. They're leaving behind the worry and the fear. For us, leaving behind one day being locked in our homes. Leaving behind the loved ones in the ER attached to respirators. You need for 7 days to leave that behind. And I love that the scripture says, and then you get a shave. For so many people, when these kinds of things are over, you feel like you're starting all over again. For many of us, we don't know if we have jobs after this. For many people are going to have brand new careers. For many people, they have to learn how to have a family without dad around. It's like life starts all over again. It's like being reborn. It's like being a shiny, hairless little baby. It's a new start. After 7 days, you're a new creation. The hope is that in this, it'll be an opportunity to be something better and new. And we need to be reminded that this that we're going through is expensive, like a brand new lamb and flour. I hope that all of us in this do not forget how expensive something like this was. Not just financially, not just to our economy, but again, the lives that have been lost and will be lost. The hope is that we will learn from this and be better because of it. The scripture says that this blood goes on the right earlobe, the right thumb, and the right toe. In a time in our society, we forgot how to listen to each other. May that blood be on what we say and how we hear one another. In a time where we're all screaming as loud as we can over the other people on the other side of the aisle, may we learn to listen to each other. May we change what we do with our hands. May we change where we go. May this blood go with us. The hope, friends, is that this changes us for the better. Imagine being that person after all of this ritual, and they go home and they hug their kids, they hug their friends, they made it. And they're changed because of it. I had a friend in the past who was a survivor of cancer. And I had this wonderful conversation with them, and they began to talk about what it was like after cancer. A lot of people, she said, would ask her what it was like to have cancer, and she says, well, it was tough, but I want to talk about what it was like after. And she said afterwards, mowing the lawn didn't matter very much. She found that she hugged people just a little bit longer. She felt like she got a second chance and she would never let that go. Friends, may we in this time, whether we are sick or inconvenienced, may we take this as an opportunity to be remade. May we not forget those who don't make it, and those of us who do, may we see as a gift, as an open field and opportunity. Friends, may this time wash you and not stain you. Friends, in this time, may we grow and evolve to learn how to listen to one another, to use our hands to do beautiful new things, and may we go places we've never gone before. My hope and my prayer for all of you is that in this time we would take this as an opportunity. I can't tell you why we're going through this, but I can tell you what this can do for us. Friends, my prayers, my love goes out to you. May grace and peace be with you. God bless you.